I am not what you think I am. You are what you think I am. I heard this from an unknown source. That quote right there. You know, let's talk about pain. I've always been a highly sensitive, empathic individual, and so much so to a fault of, well, my own, because I'd feel the pain of another individual so deeply as though it were my own. In past videos, I always described myself as being this sort of shape-shifting energetic chameleon, just sort of like just acclimatizing and adapting to my environment by feeling it out energetically. Like my antenna just starts going off and starts picking up on different energies. Like when I walk into a room that I'm unfamiliar with, and well, I just start trying to figure things out. Like, okay, where's this person at energetically speaking? What about this one? And that one over there? And I sort of like adapt again in that way. I sort of merge with my environment. I become it because I almost take on that energy and start to adopt it as my own and reflect it back onto the other individual to create like some, I don't know, semblance of synergy, if you will. But you know, the thing about absorbing people's energies and energies in general, especially if you're very sensitive to it, is that it can really start to affect you adversely. You know, there were times where human behavior is such a strange thing to have to learn to navigate and understand. Humans are strange, strange beings. And it's always perplexed me to the point where, you know, again, I'd wonder, like, where exactly am I? What planet am I on? What is this place? Because I don't understand these people. These people don't understand me. They're constantly, if anything, going out of their way to misunderstand me and paint me as some, well, they just villainize me sometimes, a lot of the time, by virtue of, well, me simply existing. Like my existence, my energy, my intensity alone makes people so uncomfortable and it triggers them to their core. And it's not intentional, but that's just always the position that I happen to find myself in. I'm very triggering and I'm very intense. And I can't help it, you know? That's, of course, I've accepted that as being a part of me. It's who I am. You either love it or you hate it, you know? Whatever. But, but you know, again, even when it came to like growing up, like people going out of their way to insult me or maybe mock me or try to like degrade me in some way, it was always like, you know, the thing is, people never fail to amuse me and just leave me flabbergasted. Like, just my jaw will be hanging on the ground. Because, well, first of all, I'm just taken aback by the level of emotional intelligence that this person is showing me. And just how immature they are. Like, there are a lot of, not just children, well, obviously we'll excuse the children, they're children, but there are a lot of adult children in this world that are operating with the emotional intelligence of a 5-year-old and that are very immature. And what's worse is that because it's coming from a subconscious place, they don't even see it. They think it's normal. And it's jarring actually to bear witness to that and to have to experience it, because I prefer to surround myself with like-minded individuals that, are operating or like that vibrate at the same level as me and that are just as mature as me in their approach and that are civilized and that know how to conduct themselves as adults should. And, coming across people like that, it never fails. It makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh. Like, I always felt like I was, like even with kids my age, I felt like they were like just less emotionally intelligent than me in that way. Because it was like, why would you say such insensitive things or make such insensitive remarks and comments and not not show any compassion or empathy or like give it a second thought or think like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe that was wrong. I apologize. That was very crude of me. That was very low of me to do. Anyway, I'm I'm going off on a separate tangent as I always do here. I was talking about pain. Yes. The thing about insults or negative people that just get a kick out of attacking people for no reason at all is that you come to understand that like it's all a projection. It's not you, it's them. And once that's been established, you can then start to pick apart at the pieces a bit more. You can start to disseminate it more, because then you come to really see that, at the heart of all anger lies pain. It's just pure agony that's just been hardened into something else entirely. And when people insult you, or let's take from my personal experience, when people have insulted me, or when they try to, when they think that they're actually getting somewhere, I'm not hearing, like naturally because I'm engaged in conversation with the person in question, I'm hearing the words, but I'm not really focused on what they're saying and the insult itself that's meant to trigger me in some way. But I'm listening and I'm hearing and I'm fixated on the energetic current that the words are carrying. And what I've come to find is that the worse the insult is, the more agony and pain there is that is laced behind those words. And when people would insult me as well, it was like more so like I just get taken aback and I just probably be staring at them in shock. And a lot of the times I'm pretty sure they think, I got to her, I triggered her. But that was never the case, because I'm so shocked by what I'm feeling right now. Because imagine someone, well, naturally people insult people with the aim of like hurting them. They want to hurt you because they felt triggered and they felt hurt in some way. So now they want to hurt you back. But when you're tapped into the energy and when you're focused on the energy, all that I'm absorbing in that moment is this person's pain. Now, I'm not like taking this pain and internalizing it as my own because I recognize it as being separate from me. But I can feel the level of pain that this person is experiencing and the agony that they're in, and just how almost hopeless they are, in the sense that they don't know how else to cope with and to deal with these otherwise like trauma, like just traumatizing, painful, maybe like insecurities, past experiences. Like it's just an accumulation of so many things, and it can manifest in so many different ways. I'm not even going to get into that, but I feel this person's pain. And in that moment, like I'm so shocked because I'm just realizing how much help this person needs. And that's not coming from a condescending place. In that moment, all I'm thinking about is you need help. Like you need love. You need empathy. You need compassion. You need God. And it's in that way, it's like, Yash in the from the spiritual renaissance on YouTube. I remember him saying something along the lines of, how do you treat someone that you could tell is sick or incapacitated in some way? Would you go out of your way to inflict more pain onto that person that is already experiencing something so harrowing as, like being maybe disabled to some degree, or that's just like terminally ill? Like you wouldn't go up to a person in a wheelchair and knock them right out of it. That's just wrong. Like I can tell this person's clearly incapacitated. They're sick. Emotionally, mentally, maybe even physically, definitely spiritually. They're sick. So why would I go out of my way then to add on to this person's pain and worsen that agony that they're already experiencing and feeling? And it makes me feel for people because I see you. I see your pain because now I feel it. And I don't recognize it as my own, so it's not triggering me. But I feel for you because now I'm empathizing with you. And I'd be so taken aback in those situations and so shocked because, well, I mean, I wouldn't know what to say. I don't want to go out of my way then in that moment and be like, oh, you need therapy, and be all passive aggressive and condescending and snarky. But I don't know what to do because, like, I can tell there's so many people in this world that need healing. There's so many people in this world that are afraid, scared to death to face their own darkness, their own shadows. Why? Because it hurts too much. And they can't bear it. They can't handle it. And, I myself, I wouldn't even know where to begin. The people that are the most negative in this world are the ones that are experiencing the most pain. That's not to say that people that have healed, like me, that we haven't gone through our own fair share of things, if you could call it that, experiences that, life has dealt us. Because we all know life is suffering. Everyone and their great-grandmother suffers. You don't incarnate on earth without suffering to some degree. You just don't. No one's exempt from that. No one. I don't care how well off you are, or how much power or influence you yield over the masses. Everyone experiences suffering. And I remember this man saying, the pandemic, Corona, was a manifestation, a physical manifestation of humanity's sickness. The vast majority of people on this planet are sick, and they need help. Because I've said this before, this world needs compassion, it needs empathy, it needs kindness, and it needs love. But there's not enough of it. So what do? They hurt each other. They attack each other. Because they don't know any better. And again, all that they're trying to do in that moment is to defend themselves, to protect themselves. Because again, just as many freaking terminally ill people there are in this world, there are people, all of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are, what's the term I'm looking for? Man, it was just at the tip of my tongue. Anyway, maybe it'll come back to me. People just need salvation. They need God in their lives. And if they don't, they go around traumatizing other people. They go around hurting other people. The only way out of it is through it. You have to go through the darkness to be able to see the light. Duality. You can't deny it or run from it and pretend it's not there. You can only do that for so long before it catches up to you. And when it does, it's not going to look pretty. And it's going to be even worse than what it could have been had you started early. It's painful. Healing is painful. It's arduous. And it's going to take a lot of your energy. But it is worth it in the end. Or else you're just going to go around like so many other people, hurting each other because you're triggered by, I feel like people have said this before, but like your light triggers and irritates other people's demons. And in my case, I found that to be so true. You could be doing nothing, just existing, and they'll still be triggered by you. They'd still want to destroy you in some way. Because they see the peace that you've cultivated and the light that naturally exists within you, that they feel, even though this is not true, but they feel they can't have themselves, or that they're too bitter, they're too jaded to ever experience and see for themselves. It's tragic. It's very tragic. And we're all mirror images and reflections of one another, If you insult someone, expect it to ricochet right off of them and bounce back onto you, because that's just how it's going to work. You're just adding to this karma. Like Ouroboros, the snake that eats itself, the cycle of samsara. You're just going around in circles and circles. You're perpetuating the same cycle again and again and again, and you don't see it. But you want to go around and you want to point fingers and you want to blame other people. You want to project onto other people. Because you view kindness, you view empathy as being a weakness of some sort. So the people that you see that show love and kindness, you want to essentially, I don't know. I seem to be losing words today. You want to dismantle that because you want that for yourself. But because you feel like you can't have it, you're going to destroy that in that person so that they themselves can stoop down to your level. Misery loves company, does it not? Misery absolutely loves company. It's very disheartening though. But, again, I've just learned to distance myself from people like that because it's not my problem. Like, I'm sorry, but it's not. And if you're unwilling to do the healing work, if you're unwilling to really reflect, introspect, and do self-inquiry and look within, then I'm afraid there is no help for you, there is no salvation, and God is going to step in. And I pray for every single one of you that's going through any amount of pain in your life and suffering, because I'm right there with you. I suffer too. But I know better than to take my suffering or whatever agony I happen to be feeling in the moment out on other people. Because I just know it's not conducive. It's like, what am I doing? It's only going to, if I insult someone, it's only going to hurt me more. I felt it before because I'm not some kind of angel. I've done this before too in the past. Not frequently, because I learned my lesson very quickly after that. But right after, I just feel like, oh my God, I feel horrible. Like, why did I say that? I don't know what more can be said other than I think we should stop demonizing things like that we find to be morbid, like death and the darkness and like the more like macabre, sinister, I guess you could say, aspects of life, or things that or maybe I guess you could say more animalistic or carnal in nature, because you need to understand that's what makes us human. It's a part of us. You can't run from it. And that's what I find religious people do. I'm not against religion. I'm not against people who subscribe to, what's the term I'm looking for? To mainstream collective religions. I'm not. There's nothing wrong with it. However, religion I found can be very overly dogmatic. And it causes people to suppress their inherent, more like their instinctual nature. I guess you could say their lower level base nature. And you need to understand that there's nothing wrong with that. You need to accept yourself as you are. When I talk about honoring yourself and being authentic, I mean you're accepting everything about yourself. No matter how ugly and evil it is, you're accepting it. You're being honest in who you are. And you're just like, hey, this is who I am. You're not being passive aggressive about it or underhanded in your actions. You're just being who you are. And not worrying, because that's what I found a lot of people do as well. Not worrying what other people are going to think of you in the process. Because you're not here to make people happy. You're not here to stroke people's egos. Come on now. You're here to be you. Fully embodied as you are in your expressing your authentic truth. Not pandering to the wants and the needs of others, bending over backwards to cater to other people just so that you could get a modicum of validation from them, so that you could feel accepted. Oh, now I feel like I belong. I feel like I'm worthy. I feel like I have value now. No. You come first. Prioritize yourself. Your needs come first. Other people come second. Well, I mean, that's negotiable. If you have children, obviously, it's going to be different. But you need to focus on yourself and what you are looking to cultivate within. You can't go around asking every Tom, Dick, and Harry within a 5-mile radius what they think of you or what they expect of you. You know? It's just, come on now. You're doing yourself a disservice. You're undermining, you're underselling yourself. You are a lot more valuable than that. You only need to prove to yourself and to God that you are worthy and that you are deserving. But it has to start with you. Nobody's going to validate you. Nobody's going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. And I myself had to learn that the hard way. Because I was a doormat myself. I was a people pleaser myself. I was a yes ma'am, yes sir person myself. But not anymore. Because I refuse to hurt myself like that. I refuse to disregard myself like that. No. No is a full sentence. N-O period. You know, I can go on and on about this. But if there's one thing that I keep saying that holds true, is that this world needs more empathy and love. Truly. And I can only hope and pray that they realize that sooner rather than later, and that they decide to better themselves in that regard, no matter how hard it may be. And to recognize the darkness as your ally, your friend. Whatever monsters you think you're seeing in the darkness is all a figment of your imagination. It is a byproduct of the mind. They don't really exist. They're not really there. It's all you. Whatever you see in the darkness is a reflection of you, your shadow. And it is something that you must confront and that you must face to overcome. You have to be brave, you have to be courageous, and you have to be resilient. Don't back down. So keep praying, have faith, And just know that even in the darkness, there is always light. Always. So never, ever forget that.